Hey everybody, it's Master Galengeist here, bringing you my review of Infinity Warp's Iron Hammer Issue 1. And I think they did a great job with fusing Thor and Iron Man with this story here. Similar to how they did it with the Soldier Supreme. Except I kind of like this one a little bit better because the stories just seem to mesh better together here. Because we start off and we see the Iron Hammer. It's got this journey into suspense thing going on, kind of similar to like the first kind of Thor. So we kind of go back and we see that Sigurd Stark is who the amalgamation is. And he's this rich technological genius person, but he wasn't really well known until he like appeared on the scene about like 5 years previously. And as he's in this swanky hotel that's like made out of ice, and even the glasses are made out of ice, he just wants to be surrounded by people and kind of try and feel a connection that he doesn't have because he's got amnesia. And even though he's done all these cool things and built this giant business, nobody's come out to kind of say, oh, I'm a relative, I'm a friend, yo, where have you been, man? That kind of thing. So he kind of gets a little bit, not really, not really pissed off, but a little bit just kind of annoyed by people like, oh, what's he doing here with us common people? I was like, ah, fine, I'll just kind of go outside. And they're trying to warn him about a storm. It's like, yeah, my friend Banco was lost in a storm like this, but he goes out and he kind of feels a connection with the storm. So he's walking around, but he eventually gets to this part of the woods in Norway that he hasn't really found before. It's like, what's going on? Continues kind of searching around, and that's when he gets into contact with the Dark Elves of Svartalheim, but he shouldn't really know that because he's supposed to be a mortal person in the mortal world, but I like how they're bringing in the whole Norse and everything like this. So as he turns to flee, he gets shot with a poison arrow. This, of course, kind of brings us to the roundabout way of when Tony was injured by, well, depending upon stories, either a landmine or some kind of weapons malfunction that is, or terrorists using some kind of his weapons to injure him, and he gets put into captivity. Well, Tony got put into captivity because he could have been useful. Sigurd Stark here is more or less just, oh, if he lives, he lives, and he can be useful. If he dies, whatever. In the Iron Man stories, they knew he was useful. Here, we get the Crimson Curse, which, another kind of cool mashup of the Thor villain Curse and Crimson Dynamo. Pretty interesting way, and I really liked his armor design, and he's just kind of being the head one over what's going on here, just telling the Dark Elves to take him to where they're making weapons, and we see Eitri, the kind of leader of the dwarfs that we've also seen in Infinity War. Except here, he is bound by a collar to make weapons for Malekith, and he can't do anything to help himself or make weapons to free himself or anything to that matter. But they know that they gotta help Sigurd because the poison's going to kill him if they don't figure out a way. So he goes, okay, make me armor and weapons and I will get us both out of here. Alright. So we've moved to the Iron Man portion, and I really like that kind of setup. I'm glad that it was kind of poison, and they do it more with runes and magic to kind of stay the poison within the armor set. It still keeps the basic concept of the arc reactors and the technological aspect, but also getting it into a magic twist that works very well. Transitioning, they've gotten everything pretty much set up, and he had, of course, name-dropped Malekith, which he shouldn't have known, and Eitri has also made him this hammer that is supposed to bring forth his full potential to fight against the dark, and he decides to get the hammer within reach of Stark while he goes out to stop the Crimson Curse from getting further in and figuring out what they've done. Sigurd then goes to touch the hammer while he can hear that his friend is being murdered outside, touches the hammer, and everything kind of gets together. All the armor's on him. He's got all these powers. He goes out and he kind of blasts the Crimson Curse a little bit away. we go into his helmet then, and we see that his AI is Heimdall, and I really liked how they fused Jarvis and Heimdall to kind of be his eyes. He sees all of the Dark Elves around him and unleashes this full attack to kind of like take them out while the Crimson Curse then comes back in to try and deal with him. So they kind of just start going at it, but he gets to a point where he knocks off the mask and finds out that it's his friend, Vanko, and he's kind of a dead thrall, so he decides to take the half end of the hammer, which is longer than Mjolnir, but what initially Mjolnir should have been. Because Mjolnir's haft wasn't supposed to be that short. It was supposed to be longer, and that's why Odin didn't really use it as much. But we see him stab the Crimson Curse Vanko with his hammer haft, and that takes him out. And that's kind of the end of that. He's like trying to figure out, okay, this is pretty cool. We go out and we see that other people have been watching this. We see Stein Odinson, who I'm going to believe is a fusion of Obadiah Stane and potentially Loki. It fits more within, I don't know, it could be Balder, but I don't think Balder would help in the overthrow of Asgard. But if you fuse him with the right person, that could be what happens. So he has made a deal with Malekith, who is fused with the Mandarin and has the 10 Realms rings. I really like that. That fits within both realms of the mystic arts, technological kind of people that the Mandarin and Malekith represent, and then just having them fused just works naturally together. Of course, Malekith is being reprimanded by Stein because now Stark has become a superhero, and he's like, it doesn't matter. I shouldn't have sent his friend to do it, but we'll see what happens. Then we see a third party coming in saying that he'll suffer as the rest of the Aesir do, Aesir being the name of the gods, and we see Madame Hel, which is a fusion of Madame Mask and Hela. That one is not as obvious of a fusion to happen, so I'm really looking forward to what they're going to be doing with her, what her power set is, what her motivations are, how that's going to come into play with the story going forward. But I think that it was a pretty good place to end it on. Me like, ooh, okay, we've got all these villains arrayed against him, and it works a little bit better. I just enjoyed that more than what they kind of did with Soldier Supreme. Not saying that Soldier Supreme was bad, but we only got like Dormammu Red in that one, but we might get more of Cap's and Doctor Strange's Rogue Gallery when he gets out of the Dark Dimension. This, I just think, did a better setup of being like, oh, here's all these rogues that are going to be going up against Stark, the Iron Hammer, and see where that's going to go from there. So, I really enjoyed this one and can't wait to see where they go in the next issue. So those are my opinions on the issue. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.